मुबारक हो
Nice to know.
मुबारक हो punchline हुई
Did you
है
fall on your head, cuz? Yeah. What's your
You just said it.
background,
You're like,
Yeah,
they are
Usman
from,
Mazhar,
and
Khalid,
Faris from We Are Improverted.
Yeah, I
Thank
don't
you guys. That was the show.
Hello everyone, welcome to Freestyling with City FM 89. I'm here with Faris Khalid and Usman Mazhar from We Are Improverted. So come on, tell us about who you guys are, what your
You just said it.
backgrounds
You're
are.
like,
Yeah,
they are
Usman
from,
Mazhar, Faris
and
Khalid,
Faris
We Are
from We Are
Improverted.
Improverted.
Yeah, I
Thank
don't
you guys. That was the show.
Guys, this is not an improv session. Please keep the jokes to a minimum. No, I want to know who you guys are outside of We Are Improverted.
Okay, before that, so that's the first thing we should correct, that
Yeah.
improv isn't necessarily comedy.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? A lot of
Yes.
people think because it's improv, it's going to be funny. It doesn't have to be. Improv is improvisation.
Yeah,
So-
that happens throughout your daily
Yeah,
life as
theatre
well.
also as well.
Yeah, so improvisation theatre doesn't have to be comedy. Right? You could do dramatic improv.
But
It
most
could
of the
be-
times, at least in Pakistan, it is associated with entertainment and hence comedy, because I feel like in Pakistan, majority of our entertainment is comedy.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so there's entertainment, just may you've got tragedy and drama and all of that, and comedy. But what we're used to seeing in Pakistan is short form improv, which is comedy. So short form improv is, what Blackfish used to do, and Whose Line Is It Anyway, and what we are doing somewhat, which are like short sketches.
Yeah.
3-4 minute ka sketch that is comedic. It's meant to be funny and amusing. But then you've got long form. Or medium form, which is what you saw at the show,
Yeah.
which is basically an extended story. It can
So
run
it
like
can run up to 20 minutes or 1
or
hour.
an hour as well. It's supposed to be a full length story with no gimmicks or jokes necessarily. It doesn't have to be comedic.
And I also feel like in the show, when you guys did that long segment that you guys, I'm guessing you guys are referring to the Mohata Palace one.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
what,
The scene about the Mohata Palace, yeah.
So that went on for very long. I
Yeah.
noticed you guys had more characters than you did have actors. So
Yeah.
I really liked how you played the BV.
The police wala and the
Yeah.
and the B.
So you
yeah,
went from a
the
very
B-
bassy loud to Assalamu alaikum. So you
Yeah.
had, your ups and downs both. I really liked that because I felt that gave it more of a natural touch and storytelling wise. But okay, let's wait for the show. That's something we want to talk about later. I think right now I want to talk about like your backgrounds. Did you guys were you guys born doing stand up? Were you guys born doing
Yeah,
comedy?
we were born standing
Born.
up.
Yeah.
My mother actually, when she went into labor, it was while standing.
Yeah. मुबारक हो
Nice to know.
मुबारक हो punchline हुई
Did you
है.
fall
Yeah.
on your head? Does yeah. But yeah, so let's start off with Usman. What do you do for a day job? Is
हाँ,
like,
क्या करते
is this
हैं?
your bread and butter? Kya, like,
So
kya
I'm
scene hai?
I'm an actor and a stand-up comedian, and
Yeah.
साथ में I do improv. This is what I do, and
Fair enough.
पढ़ाई मेरी बिल्कुल different.
But you used to be a
थी.
teacher before
Yeah, I
that.
used to be a
बताओ
teacher.
ना, इनको बताओ.
I was a computer science graduate, MBA in marketing, full-time math, ad math, calculus teacher,
Wow.
and started doing theatre and realized that this is the passion. So then took a leap of faith,
And
left
then
everything.
from theatre, did improv stem from theatre?
Yes, yes.
Fair. I
So
see.
improv, I got into improv last basically. So पहले stand-up, acting ये सब चल रहा था. Obviously, when you're doing theatre, you learn a few things.
Yeah.
But wasn't part of any improv.
And a
troupe.
lot of theatre exercises do have like improv
Yes.
because to build chemistry within the team. Because
Chemistry
obviously
within the
sometimes in theatre when you do mess up, you need to have decent improv skills to be able to carry the
Yes.
show. You can't just stand and banda dar jaye ki ab kya karu. So you basically are you studied everything not related
Yes.
to improv theatre and acting, and now you've come into improv via theatre. So your passion was actually theatre and performance, and through that you learned.
Yeah,
that
my passion is basically acting, and theatre acting, of course, is nothing comes close to it. Screen acting is there;
Yeah.
you do it, but the amount of fun and
You have in the
creative
live shows.
freedom you have with theatre, you don't really get that there. So, and यहाँ पे theatre इतना होता नहीं है, and there was this brief little period where there was a theatre boom, where plays were doing pretty good, houseful shows for a month.
Yeah. So when Anwar Maqsood Saab was still writing shows, I think at the time, this was about
This was
4-5
a
years
little
ago.
before that. Like he was also part of that whole wave, the Paune 14, Saade 14, and all
August,
those plays. But I was part of other plays like Bombay Dreams and Avanti and Sindhajat. And
So you've done a fair share of theatre, that means. In
Yeah, I think
Pakistan.
I've done about 8-10 theatre plays.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Faris, you do more, I'm guessing, I don't know how much theatre you've done, but I've seen you a lot more on TV, with your films. You recently posted something about Green as well.
Yeah.
So do you do more theatre or you more television?
So
And
I
what's
mean,
your story?
So I actually started off with theatre. We started in school, but we then moved on to set up an independent theatre company. And then Blackfish happened in 2002, and
Okay.
that became a stretch of regular theatre performance because it still is theatre, right? But between that and other projects, I was still working on other theatre and incidentally TV projects. So done TV and film, but I think improv has been the consistent one because, like Usman said, the kind of creative leverage you get and the satisfaction is next level. You absolutely cannot compare. I mean, it's great to do a film. It's great experience. Is it creative? Is it satisfying? I mean, not
I wouldn't
really.
think so, yeah.
Not really,
No.
because
Yeah.
you got to do what you've been told to do, and you probably
And there's a
disagree
director, I
with what's
think
written.
the
The director's fine. I don't mind having a director. It's just that you disagree with the vision. With improv, it's like you stand up on stage with people you are very comfortable with, and you can riff off of, and you ask the audience for a suggestion, and you just dive and throw yourself into a process where you explore and come up with characters and a scene. So that process itself is just so overwhelming and so
Fulfilling as
so
well.
fulfilling that you like nothing compares to it. Like I mean, instead of standing in front of a camera and say my lines, "Gee, I love you," and you.
I
turn
mean,
to
there are
the
very
camera, it's
few
like-
directors who give you that freedom to go out and explore
But
stuff.
even then, it's physically limiting.
Still
right?
you're-
But
yeah,
you
still
know,
you're
physically
restricted.
For me, I did a bit of, theatre acting, and I've also done a bit of
Screen acting.
Screen acting, not that much, but I've done a little bit. And I think what I found most fulfilling about theatre acting was, okay, you've been told by the director kya karna hai, what all has to happen, but once you're up there, you're doing a performance and you've embodied a character. Whereas I feel like I think what I hate most about, and as a film student I shouldn't be saying this, what I hate most is taking a retake. I feel like the beauty in the art is where it's continuous, and I think improv, the reason why I love it and I'm so drawn to it is because of that same thing of like, okay, yes, and which is that same thing.
Yeah.
And I want to segue into asking you, does this ever actually change stuff in your daily life? Like, do you feel like you guys take on a lot of stuff in life just because of yes and, like, oh yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then try to figure it out? Or do you think that's just something you do for your performances?
Especially after COVID, we've all learned how to improvise according to the situation that has been thrown upon us. And I always tell people कि they're like हमने कभी improv नहीं किया, मैंने कभी अम्मा अब्बा को अपने टोपी कराई है किसी चीज़ पे कि मुझे यहाँ जाना है उधर जाना है, इस तरह टोपी कराना is improv basically. कि okay ये situation आ गया, I have to get this thing done, so how do I play along?
Well, to say improv is topi karana would be a little.
No,
do
but I
little
think that's a very
disservice.
nice way of putting it, because technically जो हम करते रहते हैं, like, like you're going out somewhere and you're supposing you're trying to sneak out somewhere or trying to not be some, like, if you're going to do
Yeah,
some
there's a
shady
curveball
business, yeah, and
somewhere.
you're someone comes and say beta kahan ja rahe ho,
Yeah.
then it's like you have to improvise, which is improv
at the very basic level.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
I think
I,
that's
so
the
I
beauty
put
of
it
it.
in a different context. It could be any conversation you're having,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so what makes improv really incredible is that it gives you the ability to think holistically. That all right, I'm going into a situation and I have to make the situation or the scene work. So the parallel for that would be a conversation I have to have at work, a meeting with my team.
Yeah.
Right? So I need to make this conversation. I have a start and an end point. Now, how I navigate through the different dialogues and the conversations really depends on my ability to yes and, my ability to build on, my ability to think and listen. Right? So those are the improv skills that I end up employing.
And they actually do help you.
Of course they do. I mean, it's not like you don't use yes and as like a literal thing,
of
like
course not.
like the Jim
Yeah.
Carrey film. But what you're doing is you're engaging more actively as a listener. So if someone's speaking, I'm listening to you so I can respond accordingly. Because that's what I'm doing when I'm improvising. I'm responding to you so I can move the scene forward. As opposed to I'm funny, no you're funny,
Yeah.
this is funny. It's
Yeah.
like you get stuck in that rut.
So Faris, I wanted to ask you. So Usman told us that he used to teach previously, and then he
Really?
started. So then he started doing improv, theater, all of that. What are you doing? Do you have a day-to-day job, or is theater like your end-all, be-all?
No, it can't because it doesn't pay the bills.
That is one of my other questions. I want to ask:
Yes.
does theater and improv pay you guys enough to live a lovely
So there's
life?
some people who've managed to make it. So someone I know who is a TV actor got involved, and you mentioned the Anwar Maqsood projects.
Yeah.
Those went on for like
Yeah.
3 months. So he managed to do very well for himself and then get into TV, and that took off. But not everyone gets to do that. Not everyone's trajectory
Yeah,
is
like
the
you
same.
can get into TV and that takes off. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
But just solely doing theater, you can't.
it-
You
I
can't
mean,
pay the
because
bills.
theatre is not really sustainable. It doesn't really have a scene. The theatre
In
in Pakistan
Pakistan.
doesn't really have it. You'll have people who run a play for a short while, then it gets
Yeah.
it's done. You don't. It's not really
There-
New York, for
Over
example.
20
It's not-
million population have only 2-3 auditoriums in the city, so they can't really be a scene.
Yeah,
But I did notice one thing, that when I came to your show,
yeah.
it was full. Like I actually, if you remember, I wanted to get one extra ticket last minute,
Yeah.
and I was told it was sold out, and I was like, oh, like I was a bit offended, honestly.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's also a certain sense of like you think, nahi yaar, kuch to gunjaish ho jayegi. But I was kind of impressed that you
Yeah.
guys said no, because
Yeah.
it's also like I think one thing we're so used to, at least in Pakistan, that I feel is when you see someone being successful, you always see a certain amount of lalach
Envy.
with it. Yeah, lalach with it. So it's like, acha nahi hai, ek aur ticket kar lo na, paise mil jayenge ye. Whereas you guys are like, you don't have space, bache. And I was like, acha. Like, you know, I was a bit like, okay, fine. If you
I
say
like with
so.
our
That's-
stand-up shows,
Yeah.
when there's a house full or anything, and still people want to come, so we give them an option. जो यहाँ improv पे हम नहीं करते, and rightfully
Yeah.
so, but stand-up हम कर लेते हैं कि you can
Floor tickets.
floor tickets.
Yeah,
you can just
I've done
adjust
that in my
yourself,
place.
yes.
Yeah.
So floor tickets are very
floor
common,
tickets,
but
You
I
can,
really
so-
liked that.
So that's an interesting thing. So what makes us different is the way we operate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So it's, as you know, you saw at the show, we have a proper ticketing booth. Everyone gets stamped when you move in. We've got a company account through which you can make payments. We all wear T-shirts. We have like a certain dress code.
Yeah, I noticed
For
you
the
all wear
show.
blue jeans,
Yeah.
and then you all wear black shirts that say we
Yeah.
are improverted
Yeah,
on it.
we've got that. Then also we've got all our social media pages up. Whenever we connect with partners, we send them a proper professional deck. So we have a certain standard way of doing things, and that comes more from Umar Rana and myself, because we are corporate people. And we believe that you need to build an image. Generally, people, when they do improv or theatre, it's sort of very casual and laid back. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
We'll
I
sort of
agree.
show up, yaar, tafri mein boys ke saath, yaar, chappal pehen ke. It's like, no, dude, you have to have respect.
But
for
that's
what you
another
do.
thing.
And we have a code, like this is the threshold. These many, coming back to your point, these are the number of people we can allow, because you don't want people to have a bad experience.
Because of that, exactly.
Precisely, you want them to say that, okay, I like you that much, I'll come back, and your
And
friend who wanted to
100%.
come, your friend would come back, inshallah, I hope, for the next show.
I will be there with them.
Precisely, right?
Because
So
it was a good show, and like I think the seating, like there was no point where I felt like, yeah, someone's sitting in front of me, or there was nothing that made me feel like it was like, you know, they're trying to cram too many people in
yeah,
here.
we
too
don't want
much.
to do that.
And I also feel like with improv, I don't know much about it, but I want to ask, I'm sure given an audience that you have, even if it's 50, 70, 100 people.
20.
Yeah, maybe. You know, small shows.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
hire them for small shows as
Yeah,
well.
we've done
Yeah,
that too.
private shows. But my thing is, you know, you're always getting answers from people because you're asking them for their suggestions, I would say,
Yeah.
to continue the show onwards. So for me, when I was there, someone threw a bit of a bouncer towards you guys. And, you know, I can imagine living in a country as politically charged and everything in Pakistan, there are certain topics you do want to steer clear of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your ability to do that is honestly, I was very impressed. And I want to say, how often do these curveballs come at you? Or is it just like every show, someone or the other will throw some bouncer
Yeah,
at the
every
other?
show
I don't-
there's one or two.
I mean, but there won't really be anything that you'd be a little thrown off by. It really depends also on how comfortable you are standing where you are, literally on stage. Like there's some people who are a little wet behind the ears and they get a little nervous. So if they get a curveball thrown at them, unke
They-
haath pair phool jate hain. They're like, "Ah, I don't know how to
yeah.
respond."
Yeah.
But with us, we're like, listen, thanks for the suggestion. We're not taking that. And you joke about it.
That's what I like. So you didn't
Right.
just like throw it off
No,
like,
no,
oh, I'm nahi karenge.
no.
Yeah.
In a very funny way, you dismiss them, which no one was left feeling bothered.
Yeah, no.
nothing.
That comes with experience, right? With that experience, you know that I'm here to have fun with you as the audience. I don't want to be up here on a pedestal being looked at as though I'm doing something great. I'm here having fun with you. Just, let's be on the same, let's vibe together. Like we had some people in the audience who just kept talking
Yeah, I remember.
consistently.
Yeah.
And the one guy who's like, I'll wait another 5 minutes before you guys start. I mean, I could have done something a little unpleasant, but instead I'm like, okay, fine, let's give him 5 minutes. And then he quietened down after a few seconds. So the idea is not to get too frazzled and expect. See, the way you deal with stuff depends on how well prepared you are. So we are always expecting curveballs. We're always expecting someone
So
to
mentally
test
you're
you.
ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
And especially in Karachi, in Pakistan, the audience is not trained or
They
that
have
used
this-
to these shows.
They have a kira also.
They have a
masti
kira.
karni hai.
Let's
Let's
see.
follow now.
No,
Let's
but
see.
it's fine. It's
Yeah,
I mean that I'd expect to do it. There'll be people.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna go have fun. Let's have some real fun.
Yeah,
with
but be
these
careful
guys.
of what you're saying, because are you inviting hecklers to come to your show? That's my
Well,
question.
hecklers will come in, but you see, so here's the thing. There are hecklers who will come in, but then when they see that you're not fighting them and you're still entertaining them, they drop down their guards. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, man, let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
But I've never been to a show where there are people who are like very combative and they're like, we're still going to go after these guys. And we're going
Eventually
there
they
because,
do.
because yeah, I mean, I've never experienced
Yeah.
that. It's been like thoda sa tafri, and obviously stand-up is different.
Stand-up is
Stand-up, they
different.
deal with it
Stand-up, yeah,
differently.
yeah. Yeah.
Improv, we've never had a problem with that.
So my question is, stand-up is quite on the rise in Pakistan now.
Yeah.
It's going up. So
Stand-up is standing up.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think maybe he should stay in stand-up and you should stay in improv. But
Thanks for career advice, Dad.
no, it's just a joke. Yeah, so I was saying, with stand-up going up on the rise, do you feel like there could come a time potentially where you feel, despite theatre being my passion and you enjoying theatre more, you may just be like, I'm going to head for stand-up, because at the end of the day, we all do need to pay our bills, right? So
Yeah. And especially the past couple of years, it has picked up. We've been doing quite a number of household shows. We performed in cities where stand-up never happened before, like Gujranwala, Hyderabad, Faisalabad, Multan, Peshawar. We did all this last year only. Last year and this year.
But if stand-up is rising up so much, how is improv also not rising like simultaneously? I feel like they're very much along a similar track, especially the layout of your show.
Yeah.
The
Really?
way
You think
it's
they're
done.
similar?
I'd say, see, in improv and in stand-up, you have like a couple of artists coming. They have like an hour set or like
Yeah.
20-minute set, and they keep going one
Yeah.
after the other. With yours, you have a similar thing. It's you 5 guys. By the way, I wanted to ask, but this is a question for later. 5 guys, where's the girl? Is there no girl? But
We told
that's
you
it.
before we
Yeah.
started rolling, do not ask us that.
Yes.
That is
I told
not
you that,
true.
Abdullah.
That is not true. Listen, your improv is a bit. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that I think it's not nice that you guys are messing with me on this podcast. It's not a very nice thing to do to your host.
Yes.
So, Usman, I see you're enjoying your coffee.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Brought to you by
The Locker Room.
And
No, this is
Outside
brought
Edge.
to you by Freestyling City FM 89. But no,
Get
I
your
was,
mugs.
लॉकर रूम में कॉफी नहीं होती.
तो क्या चाय होती है?
नहीं.
So I wanted to ask you, Usman. So given the whole improv stand-up argument that we were saying, that I feel like they're similar, don't you feel that there is a lot of room for improv to grow in Pakistan, given the
Room for
attention?
improvement.
Improvement.
Improv.
Okay, yeah. See,
Yeah.
that one I can let slide. That's a good
Yeah.
one. You know,
It's terrible.
That's-
How's that a
it's
good
better
answer?
than the previous one, man. But so don't you feel like there is room for it to grow, considering the increase in demand for stand-up comedy lately? Like, I
Of
really
course.
see improv being something Pakistanis could really enjoy, like
Yeah.
the masses as well.
So the thing with improv is that yes, it can definitely grow. Blackfish was there back in the day, and it was the biggest troupe, biggest comedy act in the country. Then later
Lol
on,
Wale.
Lol Wale came,
Wale came,
and they were the biggest comedy act in the country at that time. It's the same thing which I compare in the music industry. कि bands नहीं रहते ज़्यादा अरसे तक, singers individual चलते
Go on
रहते हैं
and branch on.
सालों साल. So I think maybe that's a
great observation. I was actually
Pakistani thing.
No,
maybe.
it's not. It's actually a global thing. I was watching a
thing,
video about that, but I don't want to digress. But coming back to your point, because these are individual pursuits. You have individual stand-up comedians writing their material, honing their skills individually.
Whereas improv is a group.
Improv as a group, and that's hard.
But how do you, like, for you guys, for example, we are introverted.
Yeah.
Where did you guys meet? Were you guys friends before, like bachpan ke dost that all love doing something?
I
How
met
did you
Faris
meet?
at a TV project we were doing together.
But if we met
But
before that,
we knew of, I knew about you,
I
but
think-
I don't think we had met.
yeah, we done a TV project. So it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
The person who started the troupe is no longer with the troupe. So Hassan bin Shaheen contacted me last year, exactly this time last year.
Happy
And-
anniversary.
Yeah, thanks.
Of course.
Happy anniversary, Hassan. And so, so Hassan has done a great deal of improv, and we've worked together in the past. And so he's like, let's do a two-prov. So it's basically two guys improvising a full-length play. Very difficult,
Wow.
lots of fun. And I was like, yeah. Incidentally, at that point, I had reconnected with Yasir. Yasir and I were in improv in Blackfish 200 years ago. So I said, hey, you know what? Yasir's interested. So it became a three-prov. Next thing you know, Cyrus was in town. So we get Cyrus into it. He's like, what are you doing these days? I'm like, we're doing improv. He's like, I want to join. Hassan called him. He joined us. I called Umar Rana. And the next thing you know, we had like six, seven
guys,
people.
6, 7 people.
In
But that's
the troupe.
insane because given, like, when I came to the show and I saw the chemistry between everyone, I would have thought you guys have been doing this for at least 2-3 years, like
Right.
at least like a good while, and that you guys have known each other because I think you all are so on the same wavelength during these performances
Yeah.
that you're able to read and bounce back off it.
So Rana, Yasir and I have history because we were in not that way, but in no, I don't mean like we've got beef, but we were in Blackfish together. So we go back like 20 years. And now when we've reconnected in an improv troupe where there is great chemistry. And because we even meet twice a week for our regular workshops and rehearsals, we've established...
Also, you guys do rehearse.
So we rehearse the structures and the form. We don't rehearse actual...
content,
It's not
obviously you can't,
It's not
yeah.
like pre-planned. Okay, we're going to.
Of course, because
This
someone
and
in the
that.
audience,
So-
like
so
I
yeah.
gave a suggestion, you guys went ahead with my suggestion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know for a fact that, I said Mohata Palace.
What we do rehearse are structures, right? How do you start and end a scene? How do you physicalize? All the technical stuff is what we need to do. And through that, we've built a great deal of respect among each other where, everyone comes in. I try for everyone to have an equal say as to what games we want to do per show. What games are you comfortable with? And it's a very collaborative experience. So because of that, that's probably what you see, that it's not like one guy is talking down to everybody else or two people are running the show. I mean, from a business side, two people are running the show. But as a creative unit, it's everyone working together. And we want that to be obvious to the audience. So
I'd also want to bounce back to the previous question of the hecklers that I was saying. I feel like
Yasir's friends. Yeah, not
When-
welcome. Not welcome to the next show.
when we were doing our show and you guys asked for volunteer and I very gladly put my hand up
Yeah.
like this and I came up on stage. You guys asked me to narrate a story.
Yeah.
Me being myself, I narrated the entire story.
Yeah.
And you, Usman, actually did majority of the acting
Yeah.
about me and like
Yeah.
my character.
Yeah.
So I noticed you took some, some of the things I do, like I move my hands a lot when I
Yeah.
talk. You took that, my tone of like sing-songy way of talking, you also adopted that. So I found it really funny and I really enjoyed it, and I found the way that you noticed those little things to bring into the character, I really enjoyed that. But has anyone ever gotten bothered by you, supposing like if someone...
His
like-
mother, she can't stand him.
No, I'm talking more about in the improv show, Faris.
So what? I don't think with improv shows.
No,
we
I'll tell
face
you why, and
anything
it comes
like
back to what I said before. It's because we never want to mock the audience. We're doing it out of fun. It's like, hey, you have a certain way of talking, or you've done it. We're just doing a little fun, but we're
Yeah.
keeping it very real. We're not here to.
You're still laughing with them,
we're
not
laugh-
at
yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Yes.
We're
that.
not.
Not trying to punch down.
Yeah, and it really comes across through your intention. If your
100%.
intention is to stand up there high and mighty and talk down to the audience, they might feel offended. But if you're doing like, hey man, we're having fun together, that makes it very cool.
And I think also one of the things, like, I don't know if this actually makes any sense, but I felt like the stage height really made a difference.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, it wasn't like you guys were on like this huge pedestal or
Yeah.
something. I was like, wow, you know, it's like you guys were on a very similar level. And I was saying, wow.
And the seating.
So that's
all
that's
around.
again something. So Umar Rana brings a great deal of experience doing comedy shows in Singapore and Sri Lanka. So before 2 shows before this, we had been performing with a different orientation. It was like a corridor style.
So that same hall, the stage would be kept on the other end and vertical seating. Like.
Oh.
Yeah. So it
this
was
time
like
it
a
was
long
good.
hall.
Long
But
hall.
in this case, I don't know what happened. It was just by chance we came one Sunday and the Hive had changed the seating.
To like a
and
semicircle
Rana's
theatre.
like, this is the way it's supposed to be. He's like, trust me, comedy
Hmm.
clubs abroad, that's how it's done. Because he's like, maximum you have 3 rows away from the audience, from the stage.
Whereas with a vertical
A
seating,
vertical, you like 20
Yeah, kitne
all the
dur
way
se
down
chahiye.
there.
People sitting at the back, they would face difficulty in
Yeah.
like seeing it.
So
Seeing it,
because
yeah.
improv, like stand-up, I mean, if it has a similarity, it's like it is a very intimate experience. So
And I
you
think
want the
that's one
audience
thing which
closer.
I really enjoyed about your show
Yeah.
was it didn't feel like I was at some huge show.
Hmm.
And because I was able to interact with you by giving you my suggestions, and you guys, a lot of kids I remember were in the show, but which is one thing again I'd want to highlight.
Yeah.
It's very impressive that you're doing a lot of this family friendly.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have
Yeah.
little kids running around and them giving, like, there was this one kid who just kept saying, oh, they should speak in fart language or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Wow.
So I was like, wow.
That's great.
And
Yeah.
I wish I'd heard that.
Yeah, and I was like, acha.
Yeah, we should have.
And then there was like a pumpkin land and stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was very nice to see you guys entertain those kids as well, rather than just their parents and be like, oh, you
So
know.
what we started doing, so a lot of what we do now is what we learned in Blackfish. And Blackfish started off as a family-friendly show. It sustained that stance because for 2 reasons. One, you open yourself up from a commercial standpoint to a wider audience.
100%.
The other thing is from a creative standpoint, what you're doing is you're challenging yourself. The easiest thing to do, or a cop-out, is always resort to adult humor.
100%.
I can say something
Yeah.
filthy, I can use abusive language.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to do. You have to be devoid of creativity to do something like that. But if you're told that you cannot use abusive language, you cannot say anything naughty, you cannot say anything offensive.
Like this on this podcast. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
So now think within these confines. You are challenged even more. And you'll be surprised that the quality of your thoughts and creativity are much better.
And
So
there's also
even
a
in
scene-
stand up, in Pakistan we have family shows and then we have the adult comedy.
18 plus shows.
18
yes.
plus shows. So the 18 plus shows is like
Walk in the park,
Walk in
हाँ,
the park.
हो
हो जाएगा,
जाएगा.
मसला नहीं है.
Because
Yeah.
that's easy. It's just, the other thing is kids come up with much better suggestions because they're like speak in fart language.
Yeah.
No adult is going to tell you that.
Yeah.
And people like us would love that. 'cause
But
it
how
be
would you
great.
speak in fart language? Could you give me a demonstration with Usman? Okay.
There you go.
I can
right?
relate to the last one.
Yeah, exactly. That. Oh, you should get that checked.
This is the
you should
last
get
one
that
is
checked.
that कि you are expecting it to be silent or
And then it ends up, yeah.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
sense.
It was
At an
also
improv
sofa
show.
style
At an improv
Yeah,
show.
At an improv show. But okay, so I want to ask your shows, where are they? Like, so I noticed you did it at the Hive in Karachi.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that's another thing for our viewers. This is in Karachi.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any plans on like going to Lahore, Islamabad, Faisalabad, Gujranwala, Multan?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Back in the day, I keep coming back to Blackfish, but that's where most of my experience was for 5 years at a stretch. We performed all over the country, including Manchester. Improv is great as a traveling show as well. Do we want to do it? Absolutely, provided we get invited to a different city. So we're currently speaking to someone who's interested, a brand that would like us to do a few shows. Nothing's
moves.
materialized, but
Yeah.
we're always open to it. Just fly the 5 of us, 5 guys.
5 guys.
Up-
Could we come back to that question though? But
What
actually,
about
no.
it?
After
What
your-
about it?
I want to ask, how come there are no girls in this?
It's an
improv
interesting
group?
question, yeah.
Yeah,
Usman,
it's-
you
it's
were
a
saying,
very-
huh? Usman's like, I don't want any girls in the troupe.
Yeah, I get distracted.
Yeah, he has a problem.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, viewers, that's just
He sees a girl and he's like,
Now's the time to yes and.
But yes, why is that the case? Like, or is it just something?
So people have a different opinion on that. Some people say, so we haven't found when you open auditions, you don't have, like, out of
Yeah.
5 people, you might get one girl who'll come in. Generally, at least, maybe it's a Pakistani thing. I don't know.
Generally, as well, in the stand-up and improv
Yeah, you don't.
field, there are not many girls, and there's just a bunch of girls, and they already have a troupe called Khawatoons.
Yes.
So they've been doing that. Other than that, I don't think there are any active stand-up comedians like the.
So
very
this
few.
wasn't
Not that I
something
know
like
of.
intentional where you're
Why
like,
would
no,
it
it
be
has
intentional?
to be.
No, I mean,
that's
so
what
we
I was
actually,
confused
we
about.
actually had,
Stand-up, if there
there
are
was
10
there was a girl who actually came to a few
Yeah.
sessions. She was
She
trying it
rehearsed
out.
with us.
Yeah, she rehearsed with us a few times, and I think she figured it just wasn't for her. Maybe it was a little overwhelming for her because she had no improv and theatre experience to join people with, like, a running troupe. I think she probably felt she was a little out of her depth.
Like
so.
she was doing stand-up, but she had no
Oh, yeah,
theatre
yeah.
or
Theatre and
improv
improv.
experience. But even with stand-up, like for example, if there are 10 male stand-up comedians, then one female stand-up comedian would come in, and then even then they don't continue doing this for a while. There's only Natalia Gul who's been doing it for years.
For years, yes.
Other than that, we've had some great female stand-up comedians, but after a year or two,
They get married and they have
get
kids.
married or life happens.
But
or
at
they just-
Blackfish, we had 2 girls.
Oh, so
Yeah.
this Blackfish, I really need to do some research on this Blackfish.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can check out.
Yeah.
Try to revive the improv, the Instagram page. Nice.
So, thank you. We're very professional here. So, where can one get tickets for
That's a
your
good
show?
question, Abdullah.
Yeah. And when, more than tickets, we can only buy tickets when we know the show happens. So
Yeah.
is it every weekend or is it every alternate weekend,
So
every
it's
fortnight?
currently it's been every last weekend of the month.
Every last weekend.
Every
of the
last Saturday, but now we
Saturday,
switched
now
to
it's,
Sunday.
Sunday.
So that's an interesting thing. We had been doing a monthly show.
Yeah.
Now we're thinking of
Yeah.
increasing the frequency.
month. I think you should as well.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. The trick is finding the right venue. So we're very happy with the Hive, and that's a good spot. There was a couple of other places we were considering as well,
Yeah.
but they're not really conducive. Like I said, so it comes back to the image you want to create. You don't want to do some dingy basement somewhere
Exactly.
that really gives you an off vibe. I mean, it's great if you're having like a hip hop scene.
Yeah, but not for a
fine.
family.
But not for a family-friendly improv show. I
show.
mean, that's not a dive bar.
I feel
so
like one of the things I really liked about the show was the entrance coming. I was very
Yeah.
shocked if you asked.
it's a
me.
nice space.
I thought
We
it would be
that.
like a little building with a little kamra and
No, no,
like
no.
It was very,
It's all
very
about
like
image.
production value was up there. I was like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Nice, nice
So
mix.
coming back to your
As
question,
we say in our slang, English scene.
English
scene
scene.
tha.
Yeah.
Burger crowd tha.
Right.
Burger
yeah,
crowd
yeah,
there,
burger
yeah.
crowd.
It's defense. No, so you could follow us on Instagram. That's where there are regular updates.
Okay.
And that's probably the best thing. And then we do send out WhatsApp messages to people on our regular list of customers,
So-
emails.
So, like for example, I came to your show and I signed up and I gave my
Yeah,
number.
yeah,
So
so
now will I be getting a message?
You will
on-
get a WhatsApp message.
I'm
from the next
excited.
show.
Welcome to the spam world. Of
Thank you. I'm
Are
so
Improverted.
excited. I
We're
love
gonna
this.
forward you jokes. and
Because
things.
see, there are a lot of as someone who's done a lot of, not a lot, but a decent amount of theater and stuff, I've really enjoyed being a part of it. I've never watched it too much. I've gone for Broadway plays and all, but I've never seen something so intimate, like even a theater performance. Something so intimate doesn't
Yeah.
tend to happen that often.
yeah.
I felt I loved being almost a part of the show where you can give your suggestion and maybe it just gets, like one of my things did get picked up.
Yeah.
And I really liked how like there's always some involvement, like even if you had that kid on stage who came and sat.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really fun experience to do, especially if you take like 3, 4, 5 friends, like a group of friends, and like for example, the way you guys mocked me, thank you very much. If I had 4, 5 of my friends to sit there and like see that,
Yeah.
I think it would have been so much better because then they'd continue that joke on.
It becomes a personal experience.
Next time, bring your parents.
Yeah, maybe. I genuinely think my parents would love it. I actually told them, I said that you guys would really like this show. I don't know if I'm going to come with you, but you guys should go and watch it. I really think they would like
But also,
it.
we have like a policy to be unique. So the next time you come to a show and if you volunteer, we will not take your suggestion. Just because we want it to be unique.
That's unfair.
Yeah, that's the
But
way
you're
it is
bringing
with
in your
those-
parents, so we'll
Yeah,
take your
so-
parents' suggestion.
I'll be like,
maybe.
"Mama, Baba, ye bole aap." And then they'll tell you.
अपने वो वाले दिन का बताएं
जब आप दोनों की लड़ाई हुई थी. No, that's why we are improverted. Is it first? I thought it was we are improv and perverted. And then I came to your show and it was very family friendly. Bacha was running around. I said, Acha, it's not this. Then I thought maybe it's we are improv and introverted.
Yeah.
But even off camera, you guys aren't introverted from anywhere. So I'm a bit confused why we are improverted. Like, what does that mean?
So when picking a name is really difficult, but I wanted something with the word improv in it. And so you have, you have the introverts and the extroverts, and I thought anyone who is oriented towards improvisation would be an introvert.
Oh.
So we actually started off as improverts, and then when I did a quick Google search, I found out there's a prominent improv troupe in England called the Improverts. And I was telling these guys, and Umar Rana was like, absolutely not. He said, we're not copying another name. It's unoriginal, and it reflects very poorly on us. So I'm like, I still like that name. What should we do with it? And I'm like, can we put We Are before it? And they're like, okay, we can. So we can call ourselves We Are. That's the name. We Are Improverted.
But then wouldn't it technically have become We Are Improverts? So how come the tid came? Like We Are Improverted?
Because we are
because हम हो चुके.
Already हो चुका है. Like
हो चुके हैं और अब हैं. So
Huh,
like,
yes.
yeah, so
Sure,
you guys,
all of that.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because you were improverts, then you became improverted, and you're still improverted. So we are, now I realize.
I don't think people think that hard when they come for a show. Do you think
so I never thought that hard, but now
Yeah.
that you've said it,
I didn't say it.
yeah, you did.
What?
I just asked what is we are introverted, but when you said that introvert, extrovert, and then improvert in the middle, and then improverts, and then we are improverts, we are improverted.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking like, yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, it took some
Yeah.
time, but yeah, very
It's
cool.
like
very
we have
cool.
graduated. So
We are graduated.
Hey, was this a dig at me from the show? Huh?
What? No. Dude, you're really bad. Relax. We're just having fun.
But thank you so much,
What, we're
guys.
done?
I
thought you were
have
gonna
anything
ask us
else to
more
say?
in-depth
अभी तो
questions.
पकोड़े मंगाए थे.
Yeah.
क्यों बारिश हो रही है आज?
हाँ.
अच्छा.
I mean हो जाएगी कभी.
हो जाएगी तब मंगाएंगे पकोड़े अभी नहीं. But
It's a nice set you have.
Yeah.
thank you so much. I built it myself actually, but the painting in the back I didn't do. That's someone
That's
else
a
did.
real shame because that really holds the room together.
I know. That Minhal bhai did.
Oh, I know.
But
Nice.
yeah, thank you guys so much for
No,
coming.
thank you so
and
much.
please, if you guys want to go see their show.
I thought you were telling us.
No.
कि अगर आप
If you guys
मेरी
want,
team को इनको
if
शुक्रिया-
anyone wants to go, Kurt, if you guys want to go see their show, please, it's
Kurt, that's
it's
Kurt.
We are Improverted.
on
Follow us on Instagram
on Instagram
and on Facebook.
and on Facebook.
We are Improverted.
We are, yeah.
So yeah, great quality stuff, guys.
I'm surprised you didn't ask us why we came up with that name, but that's okay. It's too late. It's the end of the podcast. Maybe
see,
for the next
I
session.
understand that type of stuff. We
You
are
do.
introverted because you guys are improvising, and you guys are
Introverts.
Introverted. Yes, there you go.
Wow,
We
I
are
never
introverted.
I never thought of any of this when we picked the name. but okay.
That's what Usman told me, man. I don't know.
मुझे भी बस अभी एकदम से just
Yeah, he improvised.
revelation.
Improv again. Thank you, guys. See you. Bye bye.